Hello, welcome back to Tidbit of Torah. This week we begin a new book of Torah, Parashat Shemot, and we begin with the stories of courage. Last night I had the honor of spending some time with a young woman who was sadly facing a diagnosis of stage 4 cancer. And in spending time with her, I was so moved, so inspired by her courage to fight, courage to live, courage to take one day at a time, to not be afraid, and the courage to think about the future, to plan for a celebration after surgery, the courage to keep going. There are many different kinds of courage: the courage to speak up, the courage to fight, the courage to keep going, the courage to help, the courage to fight the norms of society that may not seem ethical or moral at the time. In this week's Torah portion, we see some real courage in the protagonists in the story. Of course, we have the moment of Moses at the burning bush, in which he has to find the courage to go and speak to Pharaoh in partnership with his brother Aaron and to free the Israelite people. But before we get to that part of the story of the Exodus, in the very first chapter of Parashat Shemot, we find a few incredibly courageous women, and those are the midwives, Shifra and Puah, who, though instructed by decree by the king of Egypt to kill all baby boys, they don't follow this decree. And they, because of their true faith and their fear in God, as they say, they let the babies live. And it turns out that one of those babies that lives is none other than Moses. The midwives are an inspiration because they show us how making one critical decision to midwife another person's journey can make all the difference. The Talmud in Masechet Sota says that on account of the righteous woman, the righteous Hebrew woman in Israelite in Egypt, the people were warranted being able to be freed and eventually make it to the promised land. Sometimes we never know what are the decisions we make that are rooted in courage that will make all the difference. And for this moment in our people's history, the decision of Shifra and Puah, and eventually of Yochebed and Miriam, several other women, that of the woman that is Pharaoh's daughter, who comes to be known as Batya. The decisions of these courageous women end up changing the course of history. And so I invite us, when we are thinking about cultivating traits, celebrating, giving positive reinforcement for traits and actions of our children, I invite us to not forget about courage, because courage sometimes can be the hardest thing to exercise. I know that for me personally, it is true. Sometimes we have to pay consequences even for speaking up and out. And yet, to have courage in the face of the challenges, the pain, the difficult diagnoses of life is something that for all of us can make all the difference. And to be able to escort or to midwife, to help another by making a courageous decision ourselves, is a gift that lasts a lifetime. I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom.